Hello, everybody. Welcome to Self-Publishing Insiders. I'm Jim Azevedo. I lead marketing and corporate communications here at Draft Digital. And today we're going to be talking about Smashwords super sales and especially the July sale that's going on now. It's the annual Smashwords Summer Winter sale. So my guest today is none other than Mark Coker, the founder of Smashwords and Draft Digital's chief strategy officer. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Jim. Glad to be here.
Nice haircut. I was commenting on Mark's haircut. Nice haircut. Looks all clean cut and shaven and ready to go for
I,
such an.
I got a haircut for you this week.
Thanks. I'm
I was getting
flattered
a
by
little
that.
shaggy, and I shaved as well.
Wow, I feel special. I feel special. Well,
You didn't. It doesn't look like you shaved.
no, no. I'm lucky I even got up this morning. I was telling Mark everybody, talk about TMI. I was telling Mark everybody that my little girl has like come down with a little bug and she's been up like every night this week. And so I'm running on fumes over here, but we'll make it through this. We can do this.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
help.
All right. So one of our biggest, and actually it is the biggest sale of the year, is happening right now. It started a couple of days ago. And again, we're talking about the Smashwords Summer Winter Sale 2025 edition. Mark, why should authors be so excited about the summer winter sale? What's going on? And is anything different about it this year?
Well, this is our 17th annual Smashwords Summer Winter Sale,
That blows me
which
away.
just kind of
Like,
blows my mind. Where did the
yeah.
last 17 years go? And the Smashwords Summer Winter Sale was our second super sale. The
Okay.
first one that we did was we started 18 years ago, and that was the Read an Ebook Week sale.
Okay. How many
Um,
sales
so,
are we talking about now for those who are uninitiated
so
here?
we've got three sales now that have become traditions. So there's
Okay.
the Read an Ebook Week sale, which we're going to be, I think, our 19th year next year, if I'm doing the numbers right.
Hmm.
This is our 18th year for the Smashword Summer Winter Sale, and then this December, I think, is going to be the ninth annual Smashwords end of year sale. So we've got
Okay.
three of these super sales annually that have become, annual traditions,
Yeah.
for the indie community. And then, over the next year, we're looking to add some additional uh, theme-based super sales. So probably a romance, um, a romance super sale in October.
Okay.
And then next year, looking at an erotica super sale.
Nice.
Um, would
You hear
also
that,
like to.
Guillaume? Guillaume, and our one of our weekly visitors um, writes erotic comedy. So I'm letting you know, Guillaume, if you heard it right here from Mark Coker.
Yeah, and then I think we need to do something for Pride Month.
Yeah.
So the LGBTQ fiction category for years now has been our third most popular category at Smashwords. And I think there's a lot more that we need to do to support that category and the authors and the readers.
Excellent. I would agree with that. So what's exciting about the summer winter sale that's going on right now? Why should our readers and authors be excited about this sale?
Well, it is our largest super sale of the year. It runs the entire month, which opens up lots of interesting promotional opportunities for
Yeah.
authors to get in on it and meet more readers. And this sale, I was just looking at the numbers this morning. The first 2 days of the sale are just a blowout. Sales are up 50% for the first 2 days compared to the first 2 days of last year's
50%.
um, summer
That's
winter sale.
wow.
So I don't know if these
That seems
huge numbers.
exciting for me. That's surprising.
Well, it's surprising to me as well.
Yeah.
Because you look at most of the ebook retailers over the last 10, 15 years, most of them have been like flat to down. The typical author experience is their sales on average have been dropping, 5, 10% a year
You talk about ebooks
me,
specifically?
yeah, for ebooks at the major retailers. So the major retailers are struggling. So any amount of growth just thrills me to pieces. And 50% growth over the first 2 days is just, it kind of blows me away. So there's definitely a lot of enthusiasm for the sale. I don't know if we're going to keep up that 50% rate for the entire
That's
month.
quite a pace to keep up. Yeah.
But usually the first couple days of the sale, the first 2-3 days of the sale are usually some of the largest, and give a really good indication of what the rest of the month is going to look like in terms of activity. So yeah, it's off to a great start. We have I forget what the exact number of books enrolled is. I think we're around 175,000 books participating. Is that
It was
right?
up over, I know it's over 160,000.
Yeah. So so it's over 150,000 books.
Yeah.
So it's a few thousand more books than we had for last year's sale. But it was only, the enrollment was only up 3%. So the fact that the sales are up 50%, it means that the participating authors are just reaching a lot more readers. There's just a lot more enthusiasm. And we've seen some trends at the Smashwords store now that have been developing over the last 8, 9, 10 years.
Okay, let's pull on that a little bit. What kind of trends are you seeing, Mark?
Well, first of all, this is going to be I think, if I've got the numbers right, the 9th consecutive year of sales growth in the store.
You do have the numbers right.
Okay, so that alone just is really unusual. Like, what is going on? Because this is not the experience that authors are getting at other stores. So we've talked about this a little bit in the past on this show, but we do think something special is going on. And the special that's going on, I think, really gets down into the dynamics of what happens when you put authors in total control. So, from the founding of Smashwords 18, 19 years ago, all the way through to Draft to Digital today, at D2D, we believe that when authors are in control of all of their publishing, all of their pricing, all of their promotions, all of their distribution, when authors are the publishers, the readers get a better experience. And I think that's what's going on here. At the store and also in our super sales, because our super sales have just, like, after being in business for 18 years, and the Smashwords store was already a good sized store. We were a smaller store compared to other stores, but the fact that our growth is accelerating as we grow larger, is that says something there. It says that, and we see it in the data, that as customers, readers interact with the store, interact with our authors and our books, interact with our systems and our tools, we're really well known for having great tools, for authors, coupons, total control over pricing and promotions, the opportunity to do pre-sales, really creative things that authors can do for their readers. Well, we've got reader tools too. And so I think the mix of the two are coming together. And what we see is that, first time customers at the Smashwords store will buy, X amount. And then follow on, when customers make second, third, fourth purchases, over time, their cart size increases. So that also tells me that as readers are interacting with the store and getting to know our tools and our search tools and our filters and everything that we have to offer, and discovering our authors, they're engaging more with us over time, not less. So it means that the Smashwords store is capturing a bigger share of readers' wallets. Is one way to look at it, one way to interpret that. So, again, I think a lot of it really gets down to the relationship between the indie author and the indie reader. And that's another thing we've talked about a little bit in the past, but I think we're witnessing the emergence of a new kind of reader. The indie reader.
Let's talk about that. So keep going.
Well, think about the indie author movement.
Mm-hmm.
When we started Smashwords 18 years ago, 19 years ago, no one was calling authors indie. It was self-publishing.
Yeah.
But it was a couple years in, people started talking about being indie, and then that label caught on. And self-publishing went from being an option of last resort, an option of shame, to the option of first choice,
Yeah.
an option of pride. And the indie label is now worn as a badge of pride, as a
It's
badge
been
of honor.
legitimated, they call that. It's in the
Yeah,
social sciences.
yeah, well, totally. And so, indie authors are the cool kids. Indie authors are the future. And indie authors have made such huge inroads into the overall industry that it's fair to say that indie publishing is now part of the traditional publishing universe. We are becoming traditional, what we think of as traditional. There's like a new traditional emerging where authors are in control. From day one, when they first start writing their book, they've got the choice. Do I want to go traditional? Do I want to go indie? Or do I want to do both? I have these options. One way or another, my book is going to get out there. So the barriers to publishing have been removed. The barriers to distribution have been removed so that now any author can get their books in any bookstore. And so it really kind of opened up this new golden age for indie authorship. And at the same time, we've got, I think we're witnessing the emergence of a new kind of reader, the indie reader. So the indie reader, they don't care the name of the publisher on the spine of the book. They really don't care who the publisher is. They care about the author. Is this an author brand? Is this a name that I trust? Is this a
Mm-hmm.
name that's going to honor my time? Because my time's even more important than my money. Are they going to honor my time with their book? And with the tools that are out there, both at the Smashwords store and at all the other major retailers, even though there are millions of self-published books out there now, it's not difficult to stand out once you think about like how readers are finding books. So it's really about making yourself findable. And if you make yourself findable, readers will find you. And then if you honor the reader with a fantastic read, they're going to honor you with their repeat reading and the repeat purchases. And so,
Yep.
so the indie reader, I think they're less concerned about like, they do care about, beautiful covers,
Of course.
obviously.
Yeah.
But I think
They
indie
also want
readers,
a professional. They want a professional experience, a beautiful experience.
yeah,
They
they
expect
expect
that.
a professional experience.
Right.
But they also understand that these are self-published authors and that you're going to have a wider variety of quality within the self-publishing space. So there are indie authors who publish like amateurs, and there are indie authors who publish like professionals.
Yeah.
And it's not difficult for a reader to quickly suss out which books are the quality books and which, are the quality reads and which are not. Um, and a lot of that just gets back to best practices for indie authorship and professional indie authorship.
Yep. Mark, in your experience, what kind of authors benefit the most from participating in a Smashwords still? And by what kind of authors, I mean, like, does it depend on the genre? Does it depend on the experience level? Who benefits the most?
Well, you know, going back from the beginning of time in indie publishing, romance has always been a really top category, and it's always been a top category at Smashwords. But it's no longer the number one category at Smashwords. Erotica is the number one category at Smashwords.
Okay.
Um, and I was just looking at some of the data the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and asking myself, what can the erotica authors teach the rest of everyone else? And one thing really unusual about the erotica authors is that when you look at the percentage of titles that they have that are listed at Smashwords that they enroll in the sale, when you look at the number of the percentage of titles that carry a price, so they're going to put it on sale, but it's going to carry a price.
Okay.
Um, the percentage is up like 35%. It's like erotica authors are all over these sales. with the highest enrollment numbers. And so they're getting the most success. And it's not just because they're enrolling more books, but there seems to be something going on where if you enroll more books, the exposure that you get actually attracts more readers.
So the visibility leads to more visibility.
Yeah, and so
Okay.
the second highest enrollment rate for authors is romance. So the number one sellers are erotica, the second best sellers are romance. And it's because they also have a really high enrollment rate. But you go down to some of the other genres, horror, fantasy, and science fiction, you're getting down to enrollment rates of maybe only 2 or 3% of the authors are putting their books in there. So, I mean, I think right there is a pretty strong indication that, if you're not participating in the sale, obviously you're going to miss out on it completely. During these sales, our traffic, just goes through the roof.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon for us to have throughout the sale double, triple, sometimes quadruple the normal amount of customers coming into the store. So the authors who aren't participating in the sale, they're missing out on all of that.
Okay.
They're going to get some indirect benefit because, during the sales, we also see, just with a whole bunch more customers coming into the store, we've got lots of customers buying full price books as well that aren't participating in the sale. So definitely you got to participate in the sale. And then, you want to talk about, different tips for doing better in the sale?
Yeah. I'll bring up a quick little, absolutely I do, because anybody can participate, right?
Yeah.
But does participate mean just put your book up on the sale, just enroll your book and that's it? Hey, my book's in the sale. And you just wait around and wait for things to start happening magically?
Yeah.
Or what do you see, like what is driving sales for those authors who are having the most success?
Well, number one, they're enrolling more books into the sale. So
Mm-hmm.
the more books you enroll, I mean, you should really enroll every single one of your books in the sale.
Okay.
There's nothing to lose. You can choose 25% off, 50% off, 75% off, or free.
Okay, well, I just want to be clear to everybody who is watching and who may be listening, Mark, that the enrollment period for DDD sales has ended, but for future sales, you're saying that you can enroll all your books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, everything's a learning experience. So, some of what I'm going to share here, you can implement immediately, for
Okay.
the next 29 days of the sale.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff you're going to have to wait until next year or the next super sale to enroll. So number one, enroll as many of your books as possible. If you're publishing 100 books, enroll them all, because every single one of those books is like a fishing line out in the water, and you're going to catch one fish, and then that fish is going to discover all your other lines. It's all like networked together. Just cast a wider net with more books, more discovery opportunities. So that'd be number one, enroll. Number two, take a look at the Smashwords Summer Winter Sale promotional page that we have up now and study it. So at the top of the page, you see a carousel of featured titles. So those are
You can get there
titles
by going here. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Hide that.
Yeah. Just visit the sale after our talk today. Yeah, there you go. It's easier to get to just clicking from the homepage.
Yeah.
So we've got all these different shelves. Every single one of these shelves is a different opportunity for an author to get visibility. And sometimes you can get visibility in more than one shelf. So the first shelf is featured titles. This is automatically curated based on our algorithms, which monitor quantitative metrics that serve as signals of readers endorsing books. So I don't want to go into too much of that detail there, but these are reader-powered algorithms.
Okay.
And then the next shelf you see 25% off, 50% off, 75% off, free books. So when you enroll next year, make sure you've got books enrolled in each of those different discount categories, because some readers are going to go straight to 75%, some want 50% off, some want 25% off. Some like to browse everything. So the more books you have in the different price categories, the more chances you have to connect with the readers.
Okay, that's good advice.
There's at Smashwords, something that we have going year round, 365 days a year, we have a self-serve merchandising feature.
Yeah.
Using Smashwords coupons, anytime you create a public coupon, you have a chance of having your book merchandised directly on the homepage. So you should be doing that all the time. When you sell a book during the sale, that increases your shelf rank. Also, I should add, when you sell a book at Apple, Barnes & Noble, or Kobo, if you're distributing through D2D, that also increases your shelf rank at Smashwords. So distribute wide, distribute to all of our partners, and
Say
that'll
that
give you,
again. Say that again, because I hear that and I've heard it before, but I forget it, and it's so important. So when a drafted digital, when an author is using drafted digital to distribute their books globally or to our retail partners, your sales at Apple, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, and other places, that will impact the shelf rank, not just at those retailers, but also at Smashwords.
yes,
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
really cool.
yeah. Um, so another thing that you'll see in there, every time you sell a book, your book goes into the queue to get an additional homepage promotion, both on the Smashwords homepage and on the on the on the summer winter sale promotional page.
Hmm.
On both pages, your book will appear on the scrolling carousel of recent purchases, so customers can look and see what other customers are purchasing. So it's another thing to keep in mind. So, going back to your question, what can authors do other than enrolling? Well, participate,
Yeah.
join the celebration. If you just enroll and then forget about it, yeah, you're probably going to sell on average twice as many books as you normally sell in a given week or a given month. Um, but if you want to do better, get out there and celebrate it. Tell your fans about it. Tell your readers about it. The most effective form of promotion is your private mailing list. If you
Hmm.
maintain an opt-in mailing list, let your fans know that your books are all on sale. Now, for your super fans who've already purchased every book that you've ever published,
Yeah.
you can encourage those fans to join in the celebration of this super sale.
It's
Uh,
really become like a community
yeah,
sort
it's
of
a
event.
community thing, and
Yeah.
if your fan loves your books, encourage them to tell their friends about this sale and that their favorite author's books are on sale. So enlist your readers to help amplify this.
And
You can
those
also
fans,
list.
those super fans who have already purchased books from you, they can gift books as well, right?
That was going to be my next
Okay.
point. Yeah, yeah. Encourage them to gift one of your books to a friend. Maybe it's a series starter of their favorite series. So engage with your readers. But your private mailing list is really your most powerful platform because you can reach your readers your way when you want. And then of course all the social media networks. Celebrate there. Um, Join with other authors. So if you've got author
Yes.
friends that are participating in the sale and they write for the same target audience as you write for, then promote each other's books. If you honestly enjoy this other author's work, if you're willing to endorse them and they're willing to endorse you, that's a great way to join in the celebration without, getting that icky feeling that you're just always, buy my book, buy my book, buy my
Yeah.
book. But it's a completely different thing to say, buy this great indie author's book. This is one of my favorite authors. This author inspired me. These books are amazing. This is an amazing author.
Every sale that we have, I feel like a broken record because every sale that we have, and we're communicating with our authors via email and via the blog, and we're always saying like these are collaborative events. The more collaborative you can be, the more successful that you'll be. But we're telling authors this, and we're reminding authors of that because we've seen it working. This is going back years and years and years. And when we're talking about best practices, to me anyway, Mark, that's what I've seen work better than anything else is when the authors get together with their friends in their same genres that they know and that they respect, and they're fans of themselves, then that's when it just kind of begins to mushroom out there, because it's a word of mouth business, and we all love hearing about books that we should read from those who are closest to us. But I want to remind our authors out there that the readers know and they trust their favorite authors. And if their favorite authors are saying, hey, check out this other author, you might like them, then they're going to be like, oh, cool. Like there's somebody else I can check out. It
Right.
works.
Right. Yeah. So that collaborative aspect has always been part of these super sales, and it just emerged organically. You know, the very
Well,
first, the very first Read an Ebook Week. Read an Ebook Week.
I had to pop this up real quick. That's awesome, Bria. Thank you for that comment.
Oh wow, 32 sales! Congratulations, Bria.
Congratulations. That's
What are your
awesome.
secrets? Put your
Yeah.
secrets in the comments. Share what's working. That's really fantastic. I'd love to hear that. Love to see that.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was saying that, Read an Ebook Week 18 years ago started as a celebration of ebooks.
Yeah.
But then as we added these other sales, these sales really morphed more into a celebration of ebooks, a celebration of readers, a celebration of
Yes.
indie authors. And now it's really like, when the authors participate in these sales, it's their gift to their readers. They are celebrating their readers. Here are my books that were already affordably priced. Now they're super affordably priced. Give them a try. And, indie readers are discovering there's just an amazing diversity of high quality books available to them, at Smashwords, at the major ebook retailers, from indie authors that are just incredibly affordable.
Yeah. Hey,
So,
Mark, a quick question before I forget to ask this, and I do want to ask it because not every author is comfortable discounting their books. Some
yeah.
authors just flat out refuse. Some of them, which I can understand, some authors don't want to go down to free, but some authors just won't discount their books at all. What would you say to those authors who just don't want to try it?
Well, look, I totally respect, when I hear from authors who say, look, I don't want to devalue my books. To me, that's music to my ears when people say they don't want to devalue their books, when they're concerned about this.
Sure.
But sales are a great opportunity to amp up the excitement around your books, a great opportunity for new readers to take a chance on you, because a lower price book means less financial risk. So it's a great opportunity to get to introduce your writing to new readers. If you write series and you've got a series starter that carries a price, consider offering either like a 75% discount on that series starter, or even putting it at free for the duration of the sale, just to drive readers into the sale. And then the other books, you can discount them, discount them maybe 25%. Give the readers some incentive to not just buy that first book, but to snap up the entire series all at once. Give readers an incentive to try you. So when you enroll your books, most authors have multiple books. I talked about enrolling at the different price points. You
Yeah.
should also have at least one book that's at free. Books that are free get a lot more downloads than books that carry a price.
Mm-hmm.
And readers are not the market for readers. It's not monolithic. Not all readers are the same. So some readers, if they've never read you before, they're only going to download you if your book is free, and then afterwards they'll pay. If you earn their trust. Other readers don't want to buy books more than $2.99 or $3.99 or $4.99. Other readers, they'll see a book that's less than $5 and they'll think, oh, that's a cheap book, I don't want to
Yeah.
bother with it. So every reader is different, and so the advantage of occupying multiple price points, including free, is that you make your books accessible to all of these different prejudiced attitudes that people have.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a prejudiced attitude. Okay, I'm not going to buy any book that's more than $2.99 or $3.99. That's a prejudice. And we all have, those different those different filters in our minds of what's acceptable, what's not.
Gotcha. I'm going to bring up a quick question here from author Tom McAuliffe, who's asking, can an author purchase being featured? So I think that means like enhancing your visibility at the Smashword, like almost like an ad, I would presume.
Yeah. So the answer is no. And that's by design.
Okay.
It's always been important to us that the bookstore experience for readers and for authors is fair and organic and driven by readers, not driven by who can pay the most price, who's willing to lose the most money on their loss leaders. So when a book is featured, most of the time when you see a book featured on the Smashwords homepage, it's automatically featured by our algorithms. There's not a person who's choosing that book. Now, merchandising,
is that completely reader driven?
The algorithms are reader driven. Yeah. Now you will see, like typically, like you saw for Pride Month and you saw for Black History Month. You know, we do regularly run, you know, 1 or 2 carousels at the top of the homepage that are manually curated by our merchandising team.
Yeah.
But 90%, you know, basically every other shelf on the homepage and every other shelf on the sales page, those are all automatically, algorithmically driven, you know, based on these quantitative inputs that are signals for reader endorsement of a book. So things like, you know, people buying the book, people reviewing the book, how they're reviewing the book. You know, those are a couple of the signals that are, you know, would probably be pretty obvious, but we look at a lot of other things.
I love that we don't do that because, like, let's say, Tom, that we're like, yeah, you could purchase the opportunity to become featured, and then I'll go to the Smashwords store and do a search on Tom McAuliffe books. But then I see a list of 5 to 10 authors who are ahead of Tom in my search for Tom McAuliffe books because they paid more for the advertising. And that's what we want to avoid, like the plague, because we don't want to pit our authors against each other like that.
Yeah. So, you know, for an example of the plague, look at Amazon and Amazon ads, which I think is an ad. I think Amazon ads are absolutely horrible for what they do there, because if you purchase an Amazon ad, you're basically trampling on the brand equity of your fellow authors. And any author can test that. Go to Amazon, type in your author name, your pen name, and look at how your search results, how your readers' search results are polluted with listings of other authors' books. So that's a bad customer experience for the reader, and it's a bad experience for the author. You worked hard to build your brand and to build your reputation. So yeah, so there is an inclination to not allow authors to pay for sponsored spots. Now that may change in the future if we ever did offer like a promotional shelf where authors were paying. We wouldn't want them paying with money. We'd probably have them pay with a take a lower royalty rate, you know, rather than 80% list, maybe something less. But again, I would never want to make that the main focus of how customers discover books. I really want it to be customer driven, reader driven.
Okay. I want to bring up another question here. This one's from Kuldeep. Kuldeep, thanks for joining and asking your question here. Kuldeep asks, sir, can I add my new coming to books on this week? Unfortunately, Kuldeep, enrollment for Drafted Digital authors for this sale closed on June 29th. So there's usually an enrollment period. It starts about 2 weeks before any of these Smashwords super sales. The next super sale is going to take place at the end of this year. We call it the end of year sale because we're really creative when we name these sales. The Smashwords end of year sale will begin usually about the middle of December. So just, you know, kind of put that on your mental calendar, and don't worry, we're going to remind you and remind you and remind you as that sale approaches. But
yeah, keep an eye on the emails that you get from D2D because those deadlines will be listed there. Now, Kuldeep, if you happen to still manage your books at Smashwords, if you haven't migrated your books yet to Draft to Digital, then authors that are still at Smashwords can add new books anytime during the sale.
Okay. Mark, earlier you were talking about readers coming back to Smashwords year over year over year. I want to ask you, what is it that keeps these readers coming back year over year over year? And one thing that I think is going to excite both readers and especially authors is that we've seen this influx of new readers visiting these sales. Now, I don't want to misquote, so correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I remember, the reading ebook sale earlier this year, the first week of March, had the first-time customers that were 30% higher than the previous year. So we're seeing these new customers come in and they're buying books. They're not just coming in and checking it out. They're buying books, right?
Yeah, definitely. During these sales, a lot of new customers discover the Smashwords store for the first time. And then they're like kids in a candy store just snapping up all kinds of books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also want to underscore too that they don't just come to the store and buy a book and they're gone. They come back. They come back like a couple of days later, the next week.
That's another thing that we've started noticing more and more, is that I don't have the exact numbers at the tip of my tongue, so I'm speaking broadly here.
Yeah.
But it appears that most customers visit the sale more than once during the sale. So, we've got some customers that are visiting every few days, some customers every week, every day.
Quick comment from Guillaume. Guillaume, I wanted to mention your comment here because you said in 2024, I sold 6 of my ebooks during Read an Ebook Week. That's excellent. How can authors keep their foot on the accelerator pedal? So now we're talking a month-long sale. Is there any worry about driving readers crazy if they're going to keep telling their readers? I always suggest, hey, once a week, remind your readers that your books are enrolled in the Smashwords Supercell. Once a week. If you want to go more than that, that's fine. But maybe in your newsletter, let them know once a week. I have found that they actually appreciate those reminders, especially if you can point them to other authors that you know and respect and enjoy reading.
Yeah, definitely. If someone's signed up for your private mailing list, it's because they want to know what's happening in your publishing life and what you're doing with your books, where your books are, special deals, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go through some questions here because I just looked up and I'm like, oh, we've got like 6 minutes left.
Oh gosh.
That happens every single time. Okay, let's see. Oh, I wanted to get to this question and I almost forgot. Mark, I want to know what it means to you personally to see so many authors and readers participate in something that started out just as an idea. I mean, here we are 18 years later.
It tickles me pink that, my crazy ideas from 18 years ago are still alive today and still industry unique today. No other retailer puts on larger ebook sales than Smashwords. These are the world's largest ebook sales with, tens of thousands of participating authors who are setting their own discount levels. They are in control of the promotion. This is really a author-driven sale. And it really kind of runs against the grain of how other retailers operate. Other retailers are, trying to optimize their stores and their performance for things that aren't necessarily always aligned with authors. But this is an author sale. The authors run the sale. And, so to see the sales persist for so many years, to see it's every year the sales get bigger and bigger and bigger with more and more customers buying more books. It just says that there's something happening here when you put authors in control of the reader experience.
It's like a
Readers get
reflection.
better books. Readers get a more pleasurable experience, and everybody wins.
I was just going to say it's like a reflection of the indie author revolution in whole.
Yeah,
And that's part of that. Is well, we were talking about the readers and readers who are becoming indie readers. And it's interesting because if you look at the entire publishing industry, a lot of the hottest trends are coming out of the indie community. They're not coming out of the mainstream, they're coming out of the indie community. So then you've got this group of readers who are indie readers who are looking for the diamonds in the rough. They're looking to them, it's exciting. They want to find that next breakout best-selling author because that gives indie readers and influencers the social credibility to find these people.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of that going on. I mean, many of today's largest global bestsellers started at Smashwords and Amazon as self-published authors.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are still with us. And
What's
so,
exciting about that too, Mark? Go ahead. I keep cutting you off.
no,
I'm gonna
that's
blame.
okay.
I'm gonna blame the Bluetooth headset.
No, you got to cut me off. Otherwise, I'll just keep babbling.
Well, I just wanted to add that. So a lot of the authors just started in the early days, and they became bestsellers, and some of them became, multi New York Times bestsellers, and then they got picked up by traditional publishers, and then went back to indie. And most of those most successful and most financially successful authors today are hybrid authors. So they're publishing some of their catalog themselves, they're self-publishing, and they're using traditional publishers to handle other books in their catalog. It's a really interesting time.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of the pinnacle. If an author can participate in both of those worlds, then you can play the two worlds, you know, in concert with one another. They can help each other. So what you're doing on the indie side can help your traditional work, and what you're doing on the traditional side can help your indie work.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a couple of minutes left. So I want to ask you, what do you envision for the future of Smashwords sales and for the Smashwords store itself? And I know we've got a lot of irons in the fire right now, things that we're working on. So
Yeah,
what
so
can our authors and readers look forward to at the Smashwords store?
right. So as authors understand, following our merge with Draft to Digital 3 years ago, the plan was to migrate all of the self-publishing operations, publishing platform stuff over to D2D for Smashwords authors, and let the Smashwords store just be a store. So that's what we're looking at going forward. So the big priority project that we're working on now is bringing pre-orders to the Smashwords store. Smashwords was an early innovator in pre-orders in terms of distributing pre-orders back in the day, like 15 years ago or whenever.
2013 was the first time.
Okay, 2013. Okay, it's 22 years, 23. No, 13. Anyway, but we never allowed pre-orders in the Smashwords store just because the store was never our priority. We were focused on distribution. That's where all the sales were happening. But the store has since grown, so it's now not uncommon for our authors to be selling more at Smashwords than they sell at Barnes and Noble or Kobo. So for a lot of authors, Smashwords has become a major retailer for them. So pre-orders are coming. I don't have an exact date for those. It's been delayed multiple times.
Yeah.
But it's going to be this year. I will say it's going to be this year.
Okay.
And hopefully much sooner than that. So that's really exciting. And then we've got a very long list of other things that we want to do at the store. Most of the new development ideas revolve around how do we help authors get closer to their readers? How do we help readers get closer to the authors?
Yeah.
It's all about making a win-win for them.
Yeah. I want to bring up another question from Tom McAuliffe, who asks, how about ebook print sales, where the reader gets to choose both? Anything, I don't know, maybe long term, where the Smashwords starts offering print-on-demand books for sale?
Yes. Yeah, so that's in the plans. There's no date, but there is agreement among the D2D team that we want to make D2D's print-on-demand books available for sale in the Smashwords store. That's going to create all kinds of really exciting opportunities for bundles and
Yeah.
promotions. So just, look at what Smashwords has always done with Smashwords coupons and giving authors incredible flexibility to create any kind of custom promotion that works for you. So just, superimpose that kind of thinking, that kind of flexibility, that kind of author empowerment, where we want the author to make the decisions. We want the author to have the freedom to promote their book their way. So imagine that with the combination of print and ebooks, and then maybe someday audio as well.
Cool.
But we're getting pretty future stuff there.
Can we? I know we're over time now, but can we talk about your idea for like book launch, like almost doing some in-person stuff, or I know those eyes. I know those eyes. I've been working with this guy over 20 years, everybody. Way pre-drafted digital. That look just told me, Jim, this is not for public consumption yet.
Jim, you're
So,
pre-announcing something.
hey, Apple used to do that stuff all the time and create a little bit of buzz and stuff. So
Yeah. So you and I do have a plan for shortly after we launch pre-orders. Something tentatively called Smashwords Book Launch. It's going to be a new opportunity for readers to get closer to authors. Why
okay,
don't we just leave it at that?
we'll leave it at that. If we don't leave it at that, I'm going to get in trouble and
You're
be
not going to get in trouble.
demoted and
No, you're the marketing boss. So you whatever you say is now public.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna say whatever I say goes, and then I was gonna have Lexi create a short of that and then broadcast it all over the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming to a close here. So I just want to remind everybody that if you want to check out the Smashwords store, the easiest thing to do is just to go to smashwords.com. And once you get to the Smashwords store, you'll find this longer link where you can click into and see all of the different books that are currently on sale in almost every genre imaginable. Discounts of 25% off, 50% off, 75% off, and of course, free as well. And for drafted digital authors, if you are enrolled in the sale and you're feeling like, well, hey, I might need a little bit of a nudge to help me come up with some social media posts. If you go to drafteddigital.com/smashwords-sale, at that site, you can have access to pre-made social media graphics. There is some copy there that you can swipe, or you could, take that and copy and paste it into your own marketing initiatives to help you spread the word out there. Okay, Mark, we're coming to a close here. I want to thank you for your time. I know you're a busy guy as Chief Strategy Officer, the visionary
The
behind the scenes.
highfalutin title.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's great to be here. It's great to talk about the cool things that our authors are doing and now our customers are doing. This is it's an exciting sale, and because it's a month long, it creates a lot of fun opportunities for authors to join the celebration.
Right.
The biggest selling days are the first few days of the sale, the last few days of the sale, and then the weekends.
Yeah.
So you can use that knowledge to, maybe plan when you want to do your promotions, when you want to get that spike in shelf rank so that your book becomes more visible to the more readers that are visiting at that moment.
That's right.
And have fun. Remember,
I was
it's a
just going to say, and
celebration.
have fun, right?
Have fun, because, it's not like you're going to join the sale and you're going to sell thousands of dollars worth of books. That's not going to happen. If you normally sell one book a month, maybe you're going to sell 2 books during the sale. But think of it as a celebration. This is a chance for you to show your appreciation to your indie readers. This is your gift to them. You're giving them an opportunity to obtain exclusive discounts on your books for this limited period of time. And it's your gift. And readers appreciate that.
That's right. That's why I love this community and I love my job. We get to not just participate in the community, but help it grow and evolve.
Yeah, and help your fellow writers. Your fellow authors are not your competition.
That's right.
The more authors that are participating in the sale and celebrating and talking about it, it just brings more readers for all the authors. I mean,
Absolutely.
We see that all the time. An author will be out there, you'll promote, definitely promote direct hyperlinks to the books that you're promoting. And those readers are going to come and they're going to buy your books, and then they're going to browse around and they're going to buy other authors' books. And it's going to make your reader happy that they learned about this sale through you. And, as we see, once customers discover the Smashwords store, a lot of them come back for more. And that's good for the author community as well. So, I think there is something to an author-powered store. That's something that makes the Smashwords store different, and I think better than any other retailer out there. And, this is what we believe in. We've always believed in author empowerment and
That's
reader
right.
empowerment. We've always believed that authors should be able to publish what they want and readers should be able to read what they want, and you can get both at the Smashwords store.
In other words, authors, this is your store. It's your store. We want you to have full control over how you sell your books there.
Yeah.
Quick reminder for those of you who are watching and listening, if you could comment and share and like this video, and then subscribe to our Self-Publishing Insiders show. It helps us kind of help spread the word out there and create more visibility toward the show. Do us a favor and bookmark d2dlive.com. When you do that, you can see what next week's show is going to be all about and who the guest is. And talking about next week's guest, we're going to welcome James Blatch from the Self-Publishing Show Live in the UK. That show just wrapped up. So we're going to talk about what's going on over the pond. How are indie trends and indie authorship shaping up over the pond? What are they seeing over there? That's going to be a fun conversation. James is a lot of fun to talk to. And finally, if you're joining us for the first time, maybe you are an aspiring author, or maybe you are a traditionally published author who is just investigating self-publishing for the first time. Why not go over to draftdigital.com and sign up for a free account today? Well, to all of our viewers out there, I see a lot of names who are joining us week in and week out. So we want to thank you all for continuing to visit us and to put your trust in us. I've also noticed several new names today. So for those of you who are new to Drafted Digital and to this channel, I want to sincerely welcome you to our little community, and we hope that you keep coming back. And Mark, thanks again for your time today. Hang out in the green room. You bet. Hang out in the green room. I've got some snacks and drinks back there for you. Brought some of your favorite stuff. I'll see you in a second. We'll see you here next week, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks for your questions.
Take care.
Ebooks are great, but there's just something about having your words in print. Something you can hold in your hands, put on a shelf, sign for a reader. That's why we created D2D Print, a print-on-demand service that was built for you. We have free, beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your ebook cover into a full wraparound cover for print. So many options for you and your books. And you can get started right now at draftedigital.com.